Hey everyone, Sajil Qureshi here with another episode of RevOps 500, where we interview some of the world's greatest business and marketing minds. Today is no different. I can't tell you how excited I am to be talking to someone I've known for a little while. I know that he used to be a team leader, and now he's a sprocketeer, and he's also the founder or co-founder, I believe, of the amazing HubSpot app company Koalify. Jonas De Mets, welcome to RevOps 500.
Thank you for the introduction, Sajil.
Okay, so Jonas, we'll get right into it. What is your biggest mistake?
Yeah, that's a hard one. On top of mind, if I reflect on like the past years, especially last year, I think one of the mistakes I made was not um, yeah focusing enough on a couple of things. So last year we're still combining some project work with building Qualify. So, and that was hard sometimes, especially since September we got our baby daughter, our second baby daughter, and then doing project work, baby daughter, building the startup, building the app. That was really intense. So that was, I think, one of the biggest mistakes I made last year is just focus on a couple of things
So
instead of
you,
doing many things, yeah,
so
together.
Jonas, you took on too much. You had the project work. You were trying to build the app. Baby daughter, second one. Congrats on that. I mean, you had lots of things going on, and your plate was too full. Is that kind of how it happened?
Yeah, yeah, that's how it
Interesting.
happened. It's a combination of different things happening at the same time, and it really stretches your ability to deal with the workloads, with personal life. So that was, I think, one of the mistakes that I made, yeah, last year. It's getting better now this year, but still, yeah, it's important to
S-
focus.
So then, Jonas, what changed exactly? What makes it better this year than in years past?
Yeah, I was able to fully focus on Qualify and stop all the project works since the beginning of this year. So that helped a lot. For one of the project, I was waiting for an internal hire. They needed a full-time RevOps to take care of the things that I was doing as a freelancer. And yeah, hiring full-time internal people takes a while, especially if you're searching for an expert. Luckily, we found that person at the end of last year. So then in January there was still some handover, but after the handover, I was yeah focused again in terms of business only on Qualify, which helped a lot. And I don't know if you have kids, but as they grew up, like the first months are most intense, and she started sleeping well after like a month or 4 or 5. So
You're
that
lucky.
also helped.
Yeah, usually it takes about 6 months before they start sleeping through the night and everything. Yeah, I've got the two, and it's when you have two kids. What the difference between one kid and two kid is when you have one kid, you're okay. When you have two kids, when you're sick, you kind of go to work because that's the only time you'll get any sort of rest from anything. That's kind of the only difference, right? But I just you said something pretty interesting there. Like, I mean, you got to a point where your some of your contract work it got full-time hires, so you were kind of able to remove yourself from those commitments, and then but then you're still building Qualify, right? And and you're building a HubSpot app business is still not a very there's no playbook, there's no steps to follow for it. So that had to still seems to have a lot on your table. I mean, just
Yeah,
because a couple of jobs went away.
yeah, it is. It's still a lot, but because we are focused, it helps in trying to balance the workloads. Also, in terms of like headspace, it's only one thing that you need to focus on, but still the to-do list is never ending. Luckily, I have a very good co-founder. We've worked with great freelancers that helped us um, get get some project off the ground, learned a couple of things from them, and therefore we've seen some nice progress and some great success. I think even better results than we would have hoped for when we initially started. So yeah, that helps as well.
So, so you last year you had too many things on. You start to remove things piece by piece. Obviously, your daughter is sleeping a bit more through the night. You have some jobs which you were doing, which you were able to kind of hire internally. to replace yourself or excuse yourself from those jobs. Now you're focusing mostly on Qualify and building that out with, internal hires, some contract help, that kind of stuff.
Well, except for the internal hires, we didn't do any internal
Okay.
hires yet, so it's just the two of us. And we try to bootstrap as long as possible and also try to handle the workload as long as possible with the two of us. Since we have a pretty niche product, market is not the biggest. Competition, there is some competition, but it's also not the biggest competition. It's also like the winner takes it all, or you need to be the fastest and the biggest. So that helps trying to find like your positioning at a pace that is doable with two of us at this moment, with some extra help from freelancers. That especially helped us out on some aspect that we were not that experienced with. So, for example, GTM on on LinkedIn, design. We had a designer helping us out. We had someone helping us out for legal. So, like some specialty experts that were brought in to help us get up to speed.
And how did this all go with your co-founder? I mean, when you had all this going on your plate, was there any friction between the two of you? Like, why are you doing so much? You're not focused on this. Like, I'm focusing all in on this. I mean, was there any sort of back and forth there at all?
Not really, luckily, because he was in exactly the same situation. So he got a second baby as well last year in March. So he was just a couple of months ahead in the mess. So he could relate very well. Yeah, so that is and was great. Therefore, you're very much aligned on flexibility of work. Like you work whenever you can. Yeah, and he's technical mastermind. So he's doing all the products and engineering side of the things, and I try to do the customer-facing marketing tasks, administration, like everything else as he mentioned.
Yeah, and if you, I mean, do you still feel like that the plate is too full? I mean, like, because you're doing, you're building an app, right? And you're marketing the app, and you're getting feedback, and you're going through that whole cycle. Isn't that a lot to deal with?
It's still a lot, but it's getting under control. Our motion is also like our main motion is PLG, so a lot of our like
Partner-led growth, yeah.
yeah, and also product-led growth. So
Okay.
first of all, we have the product where we have a free trial and people can use the product for free in their HubSpot account. Then when they try it, we have actually a very high conversion to paid because it's pretty straightforward and easy to use. And on top of that, we have a HubSpot workflow, a nurture workflow that is supporting that is giving like all the information during the trial. And our buyers are also generally CRM admins. So those are very often educated people who have experience with HubSpot because those are the people who care about data quality. So we have an interesting target group that is able to upgrade themselves, that is able to understand the product themselves. So therefore, with everything, like with the user experience that we've improved, with the automated nurture flow that we have in place, with the self-service checkout using Stripe, there is yeah, I'm not always needed in the process from like first trial to conversion, which was the case in the beginning. So that's a big advantage, yeah, that we've seen over the years. And then next to that, like you mentioned, we're also working with partners. About 25 to 30% of our business is coming through HubSpot solution partners who come in with their clients and realize, hey, this client really has a duplicate issue, like reporting is off, they're sending the wrong marketing emails to the wrong contacts because they have a lot of duplicates. And for them, they want to find an efficient and simple way to tackle the problem. So that's how they very often find us bottom up in a project that they have with their clients. They start using our products for one client and then they start using it for other clients when they come across the problem again. So those partners also help us a lot in scaling and offering support through those partners.
Yeah, and Qualify kind of solves a very unique problem that I would say is interesting. Maybe solutions partners don't have, but corporate marketers, like internal marketing teams, have like at bigger companies where the data quality is very poor and you have to have you have duplicates or whatever, and Qualify can be a tool used to deduplicate the data, manage it cleaner, and a lot of times those companies will actually hire data analysts to actually go through and make sure the data stays clean and is accurate and those sorts of things. Whereas Qualify is an app that will sit inside your portal and it can help to deduplicate very, very easily. Now let's talk maybe about some of the problems that you face when you're building like an app or like a business around a particular app. Like I know a lot of people are always concerned that, well, the bigger the company that you're building the app for, doesn't matter if it's an iOS app or a Salesforce app, a HubSpot app or whatever, they're always concerned that, well, you might the parent company, like will say, well, that's a good app. They'll just make that a native part of their offering. Is that something that you're worried about? I mean, is that so? I know obviously HubSpot has a roadmap in place which they give potential app partners to look at. Is that something that you're concerned about making another mistake on, or is that something you're not really worried about?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we take into account. It's hard to really know what HubSpot is going to do. So we were connected with some product managers. We had some conversations because we also get feedback on deduplication where we think it should be a generally available functionalities, like for example, reporting on your merges. Like we can build a workaround, but it will be a good feature to have just within the platform without us building a workaround for it. So those are some points of feedback that we share with product managers. Um, at the same time, they're building new functionalities to make the duplication like easier or to do it in bulk as well. Um, it will cover like how it's now planned. It will cover some use cases for some clients, but yeah, it won't cover all the use cases that we're covering. And it's at the moment also included in Operations Hub Pro, which not all HubSpot customers have.
I don't have it.
So it's like two sides of the market. You have like the ones that don't have Operations Hub Pro and probably can't afford it because it's quite expensive. So there's like simpler, smaller companies, but still have the duplicate issue. And then on the other hand, you have even the more complex use cases that the new functionalities might not cover. So that's how we look at deduplication specifically. But yeah, in the long term, we might look into other, like solving other solutions or solving other problems for HubSpot users to differentiate the risk a bit, that we're only solving for one problem. We are in an experimentation phase or in a research phase still. Yeah, I think the guys from OrgChart Hub, GeoMapper, are great examples for us. Not per se because of the acquisition. We didn't expect that. I don't think they expected it either. But like they also built two products probably at a point in time where they realized, okay, we see this other need. We might want to spread the risk or solve another problem for the HubSpot customer. Then they had two apps. Yeah, and yeah, just solving a need, focus on the customer, building a great company, two great products. Big fan of what they did.
Yeah, I mean that's a success story in the HubSpot app partner marketplace for sure. Let's talk about how Qualify came about. I mean, was it a light bulb moment? Was it born out of necessity? Why did you decide to donate your life to this thing?
Yeah, it was a combination of a couple of things. So my co-founder, who is a like software engineer, wanted to build out a niche product that we could bootstrap with the two. So we started brainstorming a bit on problems that we knew. And I used to be a HubSpot consultant or a data consultant, and I run into the like duplicates quite often and data quality in general. So we interviewed some people in my network who were HubSpot admins, like what data quality issues are you running into? How are you solving them? And then deduplication was like the most important one that was highlighted very often. So we felt that there was a need. We could see the possibility of building a better product that was only focused on HubSpot, and therefore you could embed it within the platform, which gave us like or gives us a competitive advantage versus the other alternatives out there. So that's how we started, like brainstorming niche products, validated the need with our network. And in terms of market size, like, we wanted to go after a market of 1,000, maybe 2,000 customer, which is like 1% or even less than 1% of HubSpot customer
Yeah.
user
It's a
base.
very small amount.
Yeah, it's a small amount, but it's still big enough for what we want to achieve. Yeah, building a great product that is focused on the customer. Yeah, so that's how we get started. I'm very happy with how everything is going and where we are at the moment.
So it was a very, very almost very pragmatic thing. You kind of went and it's like you had the idea before you had the product, right? I want to be in that partner, and they want to like figure out what's the biggest need and going that way.
Yeah, that's kind of how we operate, I think. Both of us, we are pretty pragmatic and also analytical on like everything we do. Yeah, we were both doing freelancing, and the main driver was building a product, like that made customers happy. That was like the main driver, and then because we are both also very interested in data and data quality, which is not the sexiest thing, and not everyone
That's
is
right.
interested in it. Like
That's right.
sales, like during our conversations, everybody was asking like also for enrichment or providing data. But there was a much more competitive market, and we wanted to nerd out on data quality, which is more niche. Um, yeah, so that's how we landed on data quality and specifically verification.
It's such an interesting way to land on an app-based business because normally you're in the industry, you have the problem, you're so upset by the problem, you say, you know what, I'm going to solve it myself, and then just going to go do it.
Yeah,
You kind of
I
went backwards.
Yeah, I did have the problem before though, so I understood.
Uh-huh.
It was more like, yeah, but indeed, it was not like because I had the problem at that specific time. It was more like, okay, we're gonna build something together. What problems do we know? Okay, this is one of the problems that I've experienced. Let's validate it. But indeed, it was not at the moment when I had the problem. I used some of the like I used the alternatives out there. Felt that we could do a better job. So yeah,
So you did.
yeah.
That's so interesting. And what mistakes do you guys feel you're making now? If you could list some of those out, what are some of those you feel like you're making now?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I don't know. Like, if you talk to finance people would call out our relatively high churn rate. So we have monthly licenses and yearly licenses, and a portion of our customers use it as like for 1 or 2 months as more as a project based instead of like an ongoing deduplication process that they've put in place. We are not doing anything to prevent that. Um, the contrast, like we ask for feedback, and very often those are very happy customers. They leave us a good review. They come back sometimes after a couple of months. But from a financial point of view, that could be a mistake because
Yeah.
like churn numbers are a bit inflated. We might want to lock them in for a quarterly license immediately. But we want to really focus on the customer and on the product. If that's what the customer wants, then I guess, yeah, we will just enable it. We've made reactivations easier now. Yeah, so that it's possible. And when someone asks, yes, you can do that. Our pricing is trying to cover that a bit. Like you get 6 months for free on the yearly license. So if you want to do it like a couple of times a year, you're probably better off with the yearly license. But if you only want to do it like once or maybe max twice, then the monthly project-based license is what some of our customers use.
Okay, so a mistake you feel like you're making now is in the financing, the cost structure of the product, those sorts of things to address the churn rates. That makes
But
sense.
it doesn't feel like like a mistake for us now, but if you probably ask someone with a financial background or an
Okay.
investor, they would feel that we're making a mistake because we're probably leaving money on the table and don't have the and could improve our ARR or net revenue retention numbers easily by doing more to prevent that from happening. But we are focused on the customer, so yeah, for us, it doesn't really feel like a mistake at the moment, but it might be a mistake down the line. We'll see.
Okay, let's see what that means. So you're saying why does it doesn't feel like a mistake, but because we're focused on the customer. And like, but I mean, what do you mean? You're the customer's always right, or I mean, what are you saying exactly?
Yeah, I strongly believe in what the customer is most of the time right. Strongly believe that people nowadays buy through referrals, through good experiences. And what we basically want to do is we want to give everybody a good experience with our product and with our service. And if that means that they want to do it as a one-off project base, then yeah, we prefer giving them that good experience than pushing them onto your yearly contract, for example. Um, so that's what I mean with
Okay,
the strong focus
so
on the customer.
flexible pricing, use the product, give us the feedback,
Yeah,
those sorts of things.
yeah. Be
All right.
happy with the product and what you got, even if you stop using it after a month or two. Yeah, strongly believe that that works better in the long term because people come back, people talk to each other. That's also how we are all fully reliant on inbound leads at the moment. So inbound, we don't do any outbound. Yeah, I think that can only work if you prioritize your customer experience.
Okay, and kind of going back to the initial question of what happened, last year. If you had a time machine to do it all again, what would you do differently?
Um, yeah, I would probably focus on Qualify earlier. So try to stop the project earlier. Yeah, that was not that easy though, because you also like they were great projects, they were good clients. So it was also not easy to say goodbye, and also wanted to make sure that they had a good handover, that they were like, okay, I can't do this anymore because I want to focus on this. So from one month to the other, I just stop and drop the ball. That would have put them in a difficult situation. Um, yeah, so that's the reason why I didn't.
Start earlier.
Yeah, but in hindsight, I could have probably anticipated earlier. Yeah, started earlier on handover. Yeah, that would have helped with the work life, mental workload. Yeah, that would have helped.
And to somebody who might be taking too much on right now, what would you say to them if they feel like they're overwhelmed by their stuff?
Yeah, focus, say no. That's always easy to say, but yeah, you really have to learn how to say no. You sound familiar?
Yeah, of course. Everybody's been there. Everybody's been there. Very hard to say
Yeah,
no to customer, to friend, family, team members, whatever. It's hard to say no.
yeah, yeah. It's very hard to say no. I used to work in an organization where there were a lot of IDs, like you referred to Team Leader. It was a great company as well to work for. There were a lot of IDs, more than we could execute on. So there I learned the importance of saying no. And yeah, now it's much easier. It's just the two of us, and we are very much aligned on what we want to achieve and how we want to balance our work life, etc. So we understand when to say no. That really helps. There is also not that many requests or that many IDs. Like we really focus on this is the main ID that we need to solve now. Okay, we'll pause the other product IDs or feedback until a later.
So how do you get so aligned? I mean, what did you and your co-founder do to get so, like in sync?
I don't know. I think it's an alignment of experience. We used to study together in high school. and then
Interesting.
we yeah, we both went to university. We grew apart a bit, or we went to different universities, different cities, but we had the trust of knowing each other from high school, and our values were very much aligned. And then when we teamed up last summer on what we wanted to build, um, yeah, we realized that we were very much aligned. We both have a background in startups, scale-ups. We went through like going from 10, 20, 30, 40 people to over hundreds, 200s. And we realized that um, that's not something that we currently want with our families as well. We rather want something small, just the two of us, but also a product. Yeah, I think having very similar experiences and then some very similar ideas of those experiences and helped us a lot on getting aligned.
Would you say you guys are friends, or are you more like you just work good together? What's the dynamic like? 'Cause we've seen that happen different ways in in the world, like like just different partnerships.
I guess we're both, but in the first place, we're business partners, like having a very similar vision on what we want to achieve with our careers at the moment, what we want to build. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know from doing these having these conversations with people that they feel like sometimes that can be the mistake, is they the lines get blurred a little bit, and like those sorts of things. So it's a good one. And it's good that you guys are really tightly aligned, that you guys know, okay, this is what I will do, this is what you will do. We'll work together on these ones. It's really good. It's really good that you guys are so connected in that way.
Well, yeah, what a lot of people surprise is that we actually met or we worked together for the first time in a co-working in a year and a half, 2 weeks ago. So all the other work was done remotely. And if I tell people that, they're like how, why we live 30 minutes away, a bit more than 30 minutes in different cities. It's just because like we both had the kids, we need to be like pick them up, bring them to school. So, and we need a lot of focus time. So we meet, I think, let's say 3 times a week for a virtual meeting for up to 1 hour where we discuss mainly products and then customer, like technical cases of technical requests of customers. And for the rest, and also QA, but all the rest we do on our own. We do focus. We just need a lot of focus time if you have to execute everything as well with the two of you. So yeah, that's also not something that everybody can do. Work from home all the time, only meet up in person. We met up in person more than that because we needed to go to events in London and Dublin, HubSpot events always. But those were the times where we met in person.
You just had one working session not too long
Yeah,
ago. That's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's every style is different. Everybody's got their own way of doing it. That's
yeah.
that's an
There we
interesting way.
did. Yeah, there we discussed the long-term roadmap for like our long-term vision plan alignment for the next year or so in 2 hours. And then we agreed, okay, we're aligned. This is what you want. This is what I want. Okay, this is where we find middle ground. So now we have milestones for
Interesting.
September after inbound, then until next September next year. Yeah, so not in detail yet, but like the big lines are drawn, and now we yeah can work again and solve yeah fill in those bigger lines.
Yes. So where do you see qualifying going in the next couple of years?
Ooh, that's not something that we discussed kind a bit. Um, ooh, it's I think it's hard because we're still pretty small. It's getting much more predictable though. But you never know what's going to happen. Like you mentioned, if the bigger, like if HubSpot suddenly changes something, yeah, then you need to pivot. For now, we have a budget and a plan that is in line with what we're seeing now, which is great, and we will happy to continue on that trend. build a better product and maybe differentiate, put a product next to it. That's also another problem. I think that's the biggest goal that we have for like the next year or so, year or two.
What where can our listeners get a hold of you? And just where can they learn more about you and Qualify and your story?
There is some information on our blog. There is most of the information, and otherwise people would need to reach out if they have any questions. I'm very approachable. I like to pay it forward, and if there's anything I can help with, yeah, I'm always open for that.
And they can just add you on LinkedIn or just fill in the form on the site. Both ways,
Yeah,
there's a way to get a hold of you.
LinkedIn is usually the easiest. The site is really focused on Qualify and on the product. But LinkedIn, I'm also pretty active in the HubSpot community, so some Slack communities, people can Slack me directly.
Yeah, so anybody in any HubSpot people, ecosystem people listening, Jonas is a really good guy to know. He qualifies as one of those apps in the marketplace that's making lots of noise. He's offering to pay forward. So, if you want to learn from his mistakes or anything, just he's put it out there. So keep him in mind for that. Jonas, it's been really interesting to learn a bit more about Qualify and how it was built, some of your own, professional and personal journeys through the whole navigating the terrain of building an app business. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great conversation. Thanks.
Everybody, it's been another episode of Rebus 500. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.